ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Elite Weather. My name is Mr. G. I am your meteorologist, and let's talk about that weather forecast that's going to be bringing a lot of wet weather to the Midwest and down across the southern plains. We're going to be seeing that heavy rain down across Texas and along the Gulf Coast. We're also going to be seeing that severe weather through the high plains of Colorado into Wyoming, as well as over the plains of the Midwest. So we're going to be seeing a lot of severe weather over the next coming days. So let's take a closer look at this map that's over my shoulder here. We got a pair of low pressure centers moving out of the Rockies that's going to track across the Midwest. We're going to be seeing this warm front lift across the Midwest as well, and that is going to provide the focus for some very heavy rainfall over the next quarter, several days across Texas and along the Gulf Coast, especially when they see some really heavy rain here across south central Texas towards southwestern Texas, including San Antonio. We're going to be seeing up to 7 inches of rain in some locations over the next couple of days. So a lot of wet weather down here across the central and southern plains, and a lot of severe weather across the high plains. So eastern Colorado and into parts of Nebraska and Kansas, we're really going to be seeing a lot of that severe weather that could produce some tornadoes and some very large hail. So that's going to be the primary threat from the severe weather across the high plains. And as we talk about that heavy rain shifting to the south, we're going to be having an area of high pressure along the southeast that is going to open up the Gulf of Mexico to a lot of tropical moisture coming up from the south. And then we have our western trough coming over the western half of the southern Rockies. So we see our trough to the west. So combined with southeastern high pressure, we're going to have a pretty steady southwesterly and southeasterly flow. So that's going to mean wind shear. So that's going to provide the onus for severe weather as well as the ingredients for excessive rainfall, as we're going to have tons of moisture coming up off of the Gulf of Mexico. And we're also going to be tapping into moisture over the Pacific. And the interesting thing about the Pacific is the developing El Nino, which could potentially be a very powerful El Nino. We could have an El Nino emergency, and that means that we're seeing above average water temperatures across the eastern Pacific, off the coast of Peru and Ecuador, and some of that moisture is going to be coming up near the southwestern areas of the coast, off the coast of Mexico. So that is going to be an increase in moisture in the water temperatures and the available moisture in the atmosphere across the eastern Pacific. So we're going to be seeing it fuel a lot of these thunderstorms. So we're going to be dealing with a lot of periods of excessive rainfall down across the state of Texas and along the Gulf Coast. And we have these fairly weak low pressure centers moving across the Midwest, but we have a very strong area of high pressure across the southeast, and we have our trough across the western United States, and we have our what's called a Rex block across the Pacific Northwest, and that's going to be the onus for high pressure there and really hot weather across the Pacific Northwest into the weekend. It's going to be downright miserable in Seattle and Portland this weekend. So I really feel bad for the folks up there. I know you're not used to that kind of heat, and I hope everybody has suitable air conditioning or a way to keep cool across the Pacific Northwest this weekend, as it's going to be hot. I mean, it's going to approach triple digits, and it may exceed triple digits in some locations across southern Oregon. So we're going to take a look at that in just a minute. But here is our ingredients for very wet weather down across the southern plains and into Texas. And we have that big ridge of high pressure over the southeast, and the air circulates in this clockwise direction across that air, around that ridge of high pressure. That's going to be pulling moisture up off of the Gulf of Mexico, and we have an area of low pressure, a large low here across the southwest, and that is going to have a counterclockwise flow. And with that, we have kind of a double barrel of this surge of moisture and air coming from the southwest, and this is going to be very warm air coming from the southwest, but from the southeast, we got that moist, humid tropical air coming off of the Gulf of Mexico that is going to provide a lot of fuel for excessive rainfall, especially across the state of Texas as we head into the week. And here's a look at that rainfall forecast across the state of Texas. I'm going to stand over here so you can see that better. And we're going to be seeing, especially down here across southwestern Texas, near San Antonio, Laredo, and Del Rio, Texas, we're going to be seeing some excessive rainfall totals that could exceed 8 to 12 inches. So very high amounts of rain. And that includes the Houston area that's going to be picking up 5 to 7 inches of rain. So lots of heavy rain. We're not going to be dealing with a lot of severe weather across the Texas, but we will be dealing with maybe an isolated severe thunderstorm across northern Texas, but central and southern Texas and down to the Mexican border and along the Gulf Coast is going to be excessive rainfall, and that rain is going to be very heavy. The flooding issues are going to be real. We're going to be seeing those videos coming out of San Antonio and in Houston, maybe Austin and Dallas as well, as we're going to be seeing several inches of rain along the Gulf Coast of Texas. So very wet weather is going to be in store for you guys down across that way. And here is some of those rainfall totals that we're going to be seeing through Saturday, at least through 3 a.m., where we're going to be picking up 2 to 3 inches of rain, 1 to 2 inches of rain in San Antonio. So a lot of heavy rain is going to fall down here across the south and the southwestern part of Texas. Now, this rain is going to extend, last for quite a long time, and we're going to be seeing a lot of rain. So through Monday at 2 a.m., we're going to start to see 3 to 5 inches of rain across San Antonio, and we're going to be seeing 2 to 3 inches of rain through parts of West Texas. So a lot of rain across central and southern Texas as we head through the week and into the weekend. And through the weekend, we're going to be seeing a lot of that heavy rain. Now, as far as severe thunderstorms are going to be concerned here across parts of the upper Midwest. So Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, we're going to be seeing the likelihood of severe thunderstorms across that area tomorrow, and that primary threat is going to be tornadoes and some large hail, damaging winds. Rainfall, I don't expect there to be too much in the way of excessive rainfall, but we will see heavy rain, of course, from some of the severe thunderstorms. But I think our primary threat is going to be winds and wind damage and hail. So we're going to be dealing with a lot of that across the upper Midwest and the high plains tomorrow. So that means to me that I'm expecting to see video footage from our storm chasers out there of a lot of elevated high altitude thunderstorms. So I expect to see video of rope tornadoes as well as those stovepipe tornadoes. So I'm expected to see some large hail, but not too much in the way of heavy rainfall with these high plains thunderstorms. So these storms will be photogenic, excellent opportunities for severe weather research. So hopefully Tim Reed is going to be in this area, and some of our more seasoned storm chasers will be out there conducting that research for the folks at the National Weather Service and some of our universities as well. And as we take a look at your day on Friday, we're going to be seeing that severe weather down across southwestern Texas, near San Antonio and Del Rio, as well as Laredo. And that potential for severe weather extends through central and to northern Texas, central Oklahoma, which includes Oklahoma City and Tulsa, and up into Kansas, so eastern Kansas, so Lawrence, Kansas to Kansas City, St. Louis, Missouri, up to Chicago, Indianapolis. So if you're in Illinois, up into Iowa, especially across Iowa, so Des Moines, they have a pretty good threat for seeing those severe thunderstorms. And our primary threats with these storms are going to be large hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes are going to be the primary threat. So take the necessary precaution and please monitor the weather forecast for fast changing weather conditions. And we're going to be seeing that flood threat once again. I'm going to reiterate how much rain is going to fall down across Texas and the Gulf Coast. So we're going to have several days of serious flooding down across southern Texas. So San Antonio to the Mexican border, that rain naturally is going to go over the Mexican border. Weather don't observe political border. So northeastern Texas down through Juarez, Texas, as well as Hermosillo and Monterrey, Texas. We're going to be seeing, not Texas, but Monterrey, Mexico. So Juarez and Hermosillo, Mexico, those states will see a lot of that excessive rainfall as well. So shout out to the folks down in Old Mexico, okay? Our neighbors down to the south. And we're going to be dealing with that severe weather on Friday across southwestern Texas. And that also includes San Antonio up to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And we're going to be seeing those primary threats with this severe weather across Texas. Is going to be excessive rainfall, damaging winds, and some large hail. I'm not expecting a big tornado threat down across Texas because these are going to produce what we call gully washers. So thunderstorms that can produce 5 or more inches of rain in maybe a couple hour period. So these gully washers are going to be causing serious issues with flash flooding down across central and southern Texas in those semi-arid areas. And as we head into Saturday, again, more of that severe weather really focusing there on San Antonio with those very heavy downpours, those gully washers once again, and damaging winds and some large hail is going to be possible. The tornado threat is going to be low down there across the Alamo State. But for the rest of you, you're going to be really focusing on that excessive rainfall. So please, if you're on the highways and you're driving and you come across a floated roadway, please turn around, don't drown. So take care of yourself, and remember, safety is of the utmost importance in these kinds of situations. And then the excessive rainfall outlook again for Saturday is going to continue across the state of Texas, but it's going to shift a little bit further to the north. So we're going to start to see that heavy rain extend as far north as Oklahoma, Tulsa, and maybe as far north as Bartlesville, Kansas. Mr. G know his geography, don't he? Yeah, check it out now. Yeah, boy. But anyway, that's an important skill to know if you're going to be a meteorologist, is to know your geography. You got to know your places, and you got to know the geographical landscape out there. But anyway, that heavy rain is going to spread into Texas as we have these slow-moving areas of low pressure that's going to kind of drift around across the central and southern plains, because we kind of have that blocking ridge across the southeastern edge of the United States and over the state of Florida. So that's going to keep things kind of bottlenecked across the Midwest, and that's going to provide the focus for a whole lot of rainfall. So unfortunately, that is not a very positive situation there. And we got to talk about some heat too across the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast this week. Here is our storm that's going to be producing that severe weather across the plains, and the focus for that severe heavy rain down across the state of Texas. There is our high pressure down across the southeast that's going to be bringing in that moisture off of the Gulf of Mexico and that heat off of the deserts of Old Mexico. So we're going to be seeing those features kind of work together to make for a miserable weekend across the Midwest and a miserable day across the Pacific Northwest. Or actually, I should say, a kind of a miserable stretch of days across the Pacific Northwest. And here we are as we look at your Sunday, as we're going to have a weak area of low pressure here across parts of northern Nevada. So the Great Basin, we're going to be seeing a weak area of low pressure, but a very strong ridge across southern Canada. And that is going to produce an easterly flow. So we're going to be seeing an offshore flow in the Pacific Northwest, and that offshore flow is going to be responsible for that excessive heat that we're going to be seeing across Portland and Seattle as we see those temperatures soar into the 90s. And here's a look at the temperatures that we are going to be seeing Friday across the Pacific Northwest and the Northern Rockies. Look at those temperatures in the lower to upper 80s. So we're going to see that 82 in Eugene, but 88 in Portland and 81 up in Seattle. So that is just the beginning that those temperatures are going to start to rise. Because check out here in Northern California, that is near Redwood, California. No, Redding, California. And that's going to be 92 degrees over there. So we're starting to see that heat come in from the south. And as we get into your Saturday, 83 up in Seattle, 92 in Portland, and then 88 over there in Eugene, but look, 97 here in Northern California. So we're going to be seeing that warm temperatures in Redding, California. I think you barely see the rating right there. 97 degrees for your Saturday. And on Sunday, the heat is on. 90s across Portland and those upper 80s up there in Seattle, and those mid 90s, low to mid 90s down across Central Oregon. So we're going to start to see the heat across the Oregon area. And part of this is because the Cascade Mountain Range is right here, ladies and gentlemen, and that air is coming from the east. It's going over the Cascade Mountain Range, and there's going to be enough lift and maybe a little bit of moisture to produce some rain showers, light showers, maybe a thunderstorm on the eastern side of the Cascade Mountain Range. But on the western side, it's going to be dry. And when that air goes over the top of the mountains, it's going to sink. We're going to have sinking air, subsidence, and compression, and that is going to compress the atmosphere down onto the lower surface there along the Pacific coast of the Northwest, and that is going to cause the temperatures at the surface to heat up, and we're going to be seeing those temperatures soar into the 90s. When this happens later in the summer, believe me, it could get much hotter, and we can see triple digits in the Pacific Northwest. But I'm kind of happy to say that we won't see triple digits this time, but we could see that happen as we head into July and August if this scenario occurs with a particular surface pattern. But we're going to see that 91 in Portland. So very warm and kind of hot across the northern Rockies and the Pacific Northwest. So that is a look at your weather forecast. My name is Mr. G. I didn't talk much about the East Coast today because the weather on the East Coast is going to be damn near perfect, okay? So y'all don't need to say nothing about nothing because you don't have nothing to complain about if you are on the East Coast and across the Southeast. But if you're in the Midwest and across the Pacific Northwest, you guys kind of have a little bit to grumble and complain about because that wet weather, that severe weather, and that heat across the Northwest is going to be kind of not fun to deal with. So my name is Mr. G. Thank you for watching me today, guys. There will not be a video tomorrow because Mr. G has finals to complete. Tomorrow will be the last day of spring semester. Then I get the rest of the month off before I start classes for the summer. So I'll get to take some time to really hone in on some of these videos and really make some nice special videos for you guys since I won't have classes for a couple of weeks, okay? Thank you for watching. Leave a like, comment, and feel free to subscribe. Bye-bye.